ahead and call to order the regular session of the Delaware Garden City Council on April 16th at approximately 7:05 p.m. If you'll please bow your heads. Dear Lord, please give this council the advice and direction that you see fit, and oversee our staff, bless our police department as they perform the duties within our city, oversee our citizens, and protect them as they perform their duties within their lives, and make sure that our city staff and council make decisions that are within guidelines and direction of your wishes. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Chief, would you like to lead us on the pledges?
To the American flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
As usual, the first item on the agenda are usually citizens' comments. However, before I do that, I'm going to address, I'm hoping a lot of you that are here for the RV stuff. So before I allow you to make comments, I'm going to make a couple of comments. It was discussed that was going to be on the agenda for tonight. It is not on the agenda. And there's a dual fold for that. One is the city attorney obviously had some stuff that was going on trying to get to that and get it finished. The second was I directed him, based on my discussions, to stop that. At this point, we are, as council, not going to pursue an ordinance regarding that anymore. And I know there may be a couple of you that are upset over that. At this point, it's been kind of taken off the thing unless one of the city council members decides to redirect it at some other point. I think the end result was we feel like the guidelines that we have in place and the enforcement that we have to enforce situations regarding some of those currently on our books with the ordinance we have should suffice. There are some other avenues if somebody's having an issue directly as a citizen to pursue those not only through your own means, but there are some ordinances that we have that are nuisance ordinances and other things that probably could be pursued if need be for individual cases. So at this point, we've kind of kicked it to the curb, and as far as I'm concerned, it's gone permanently, and it's not something that I think needs to be readdressed, and I don't think I need to waste our city attorney's time any further on this. So, anybody? At this point, I will take citizens' comments, and any of you guys that want to leave and bolt out of here before we get into any of the bigger issues, you may. And if you want to yell at me, please feel free to. I'll take and address any of those issues too.
Great job, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments regarding any of that, or do you guys just want to bolt?
You're welcome to stay.
You're welcome to stay. But anybody want to bolt or make any citizens' comments regarding that or anything else at this point?
I have comments.
Yes, sir.
Can I stand up?
Yes, sir. Okay. Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Pat Newman, 3304 Elkins Drive, Delaware Gardens. So I scripted this out. I'm going to share three concerns, ask a couple questions, and then make some requests for documents. I've been a resident here for 19 years. And as a resident across from the natural gas plant, the appeal of my property to a prospective buyer has been damaged. I moved here 19 years ago, and I was comforted knowing that I faced a beautiful lake and wildlife area that would be there in perpetuity. And now I have an unsightly natural gas plant that has destroyed my views and damaged my property value. I asked my neighbor, Ed Motley, when this whole process started, what the infrastructure would be when it was finished, and was answered a little pipe coming out of the ground, running over and turning back down into the ground. That's not what we have across the street from my home. The noise and disruption of the drilling and the fracking operations has been awful to live through. We here close to the site have suffered suffered greatly to the benefit of XTO, the city of Delworthington Gardens, and all of the other residents who aren't across the street from this disaster. We deserve to be heard and have our suffering addressed by XTO and the City Council. The second issue is Happy Elkins Lake. This lake has been ravaged by the drought and the use of its water for XTO to frack with. It needs to be restored, and I am proposing that this process begin now. The last several heavy rains have done nothing to restore these water levels. I know because I have painfully watched this phenomenon. The water is not flowing to Happy Elkins. I have confirmed with TCEQ and multiple departments within the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality that no permitting is required to do this type of restoration. The natural gas plant area needs to be modified to eliminate as much of the visual soreness as possible. I'm speaking loudly because that's what it's like. At a minimum, the vertical separators need to be replaced with horizontal ones. For those of you, the separators are the big ugly green things that stick several feet up above the wall that XTO built for us. Turns out they make horizontal ones. They cost $500 more. I would have liked to have thought that we would have figured that out at the front end and done that at the front end, but we haven't. The wall needs to be raised to cover the tanks that are there. Who would build a wall to not cover what was behind it? More effective landscaping. And the nature trail entrance needs to be moved. There's no longer a nature trail. It leads directly into the gate of the natural gas plant. The image of this natural gas plant reflects on the entire community, and it's in everyone's interest to make it as inconspicuous as possible. That is not what we have right now. Series of questions and document requests that I have. I'd like to see a copy of the permit that was issued to remove water from Happy Elkins for the use of fracking. I'd like to see a copy of the permit that was issued to allow XTO to replenish the lake with whatever water they put in there from whatever source they have. I'd like to see both of those permits. I'd like to see documentation evidencing the gallons of water in and the gallons of water out of that lake. If it exists, I'd like to see it. I think we all would like to see that. I'd like to see a copy of all service use agreements related to the natural gas plant. All of them. I have a question for the council. Can any of you confirm what type of permit was issued by the TCEQ to remove water from the lake?
We can't address you during this time.
Oh, okay, sorry. Didn't know that. I'm told it was a temporary permit. That temporary permit has limitations. They're very clear limitations. I know what those limitations are, and there seems to be a disconnect there. My other question is, who within Delworthington Gardens city governance is involved with the natural gas plant? If XTO has an issue or problem, who do they call? I don't know who's watching our interest across that from there that has destroyed this lake. But this is serious, and this is not going away. There are several of my neighbors here tonight who are very unhappy with the manner in which this project has been conducted. It has harmed all of our property values, in my opinion. The erection of a several 100,000 gallon tank for the benefit of everyone here this summer to look at is not going to be helpful to property values. I'm grateful that I've decided not to try and sell my home right now. That those of you who are in the market today, it is not helpful to have a big frac tank and this natural gas operating plant over here for anybody who comes into this area thinking about moving here. This used to be a desirable place to come. These things have changed that. and I would like to see all of these addressed. I thank you all for your time, and I respectfully ask you to please consider them. Pat Noonan, 3304 Elkins Drive, Worthington Gardens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kathy?
Candace Stein, 2622 Clover Lane, and I was wanted to speak about the solar ordinance that you may be considering, not the ordinance tonight, but the direct action. I was at a few meetings many years ago when you actually directed PNC to study that because you had some person, citizen who come in and wanted to install some solar, but there were no ordinances pertaining to that. I was excited that the city was going to take that on. I was not able to attend a lot of meetings in the meantime, and was very dismayed to find out when my husband's company had an incentive for their employees earlier this year to take advantage of special pricing for some solar installation that cities did not yet have anything in place. And in fact, there have been, while not a landslide request, there have been a handful of other citizens who were very interested in taking advantage of tax breaks or other things that came about or just wanted to install solar. And I feel like it is a disservice to the citizens to not be able to move forward with their project. Oftentimes, if the citizen comes in and says, well, we'd like to get the ball rolling again, by the time the ball is nudge a little bit further forward, their window of opportunity is gone. And I think that is a big shame. And I would like to encourage council to try and get that moving forward again. I've not yet had the chance to do the research with regards to the city, but I do know that there is a Texas state law that restricts the abilities of HOAs, with very strict limitations on what they can do in the way of restricted solar within an HOA. So if that's in place for an HOA, my assumption is either there's something in place for cities where the state doesn't feel like it is necessary to put a law in place like that if they have a great HOA, which is restricted. So I'm I disagree that it would bring me and like the alternative energy solutions and like citizens to have the opportunity to put something in that is safe and effective and not going to. I think aesthetics has a small part of the consideration, but I do understand that there are some concerns. Thank you very much.
Any other citizens' comments?
What Kathy just said, my name is Steve Flowers, 3306 Evie Court. I would like to make a recommendation to the board, per se, that we follow the ordinance number OR 190514 that Mansfield, Texas adopted. We have to go to electric as far as our fracking, drilling. Mansfield and Arlington have adopted this ordinance. We need to look at it. I want some type of guarantee from XTO. XTO has, in my opinion, dictated how we're going to run our wells, where we should be, we should be the council, we should be the mayor, we should be citizens that are concerned about. Everybody here has had my emails all week. This is a very sensitive thing for me. I I have been around Happy Elephant since 1991. It's a beautiful lake. It was a beautiful lake. We had bird population. We had turtle population. We don't have that anymore. The lake is depleted. There has to be a balance. I'm all about understanding fracking and its results as far as the benefit for our energy. There's no question about it. It's great for our country. But we have to do it with monitoring. We are a small community. We're not Mansfield. We're not Arlington. What we have right now, taking the water out of Happy Elephant is a small leak. There's got to be some kind of accountability. I asked.
Okay, I want to make a comment. I've heard this. The two of you guys. First off, we sold water one time in 2010 and it was completely full. Sold 2 million gallons. Lowered the lake 4 inches.
How many million gallons?
10 million gallons.
10 million.
Yeah. I believe that's what it was. I may have the number wrong, but I believe...
Frack how many wells?
6 wells ago. But we also sold them on the water. Don't, just let me say, I'm not going to get an argument with you. I'm just going to set the facts
I
straight.
didn't argue with you.
Mr. Becky has a question. I'm going to tell you, I sold it one time. We were only allowed to sell so much by TCEQ. We haven't sold any since. The temperatures and drought has affected the lake. Don't sit there and go blame it on XTO or us. It had nothing to do with XTO, nothing to do with fracking those wells. It has to do with how dry it is.
The 10 million, as we took water out of the lake, it was replaced.
Yeah, excuse me, but
I'm not going to debate it. I just told you.
I'm just saying to my residents.
You have to wait. You can't.
You've already
sorry.
spoke.
Okay,
I'm speaking right now.
okay.
So I can set the record straight. I don't like people coming in here and making these wild accusations like we're pumping water out of the lake. We are not. At one time, the lake was full. The lake was not down at that point in time. After doing that, it's only been down because of the drought. If you want to come and make an accusation, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to ask the mayor to make you leave because I'm not going to have you sit here saying this council has drained that lake and ruined your property values, made everything look ugly. It's totally untrue. I'm so irritated right now.
I would
Think you're irritated? I'm irritated. I don't want to hear this crud.
That's your opinion, and that's my opinion.
No, it's not an opinion. I just told you a fact.
Where's the facts come from?
I'm just telling you. I mean, that's what it is.
Mike, let him finish up.
Okay,
You
we'll
have
cut
anything
him
else?
off and get him out of here.
Mr. Flowers, you have anything else?
I don't get this.
What is going on?
What is
No.
that?
Because I don't like you making false accusations in front of all these people. They're all out there thinking, oh, the city council letting XTO pump water out here all the time. We sell them water. The water came from Fort Worth.
Give me
We
facts.
made money on the
Give
water.
me facts.
He is giving you...
How much water went into the lake? How much water went out to the lake? Here's a picture of your pumping it out.
You have a date on that?
You have
a date on that? Steve, is there a date on that?
Yes, I do.
What's the date?
2010.
Okay. Which we already addressed. That's when they took it out. Since then, there's not been a drop
I
of
have
water
one
taken out.
question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
That was 4 years ago.
You monitor the water going in.
Correct.
You monitor the water going out.
Correct.
Where is the meter record?
I'll address that when we get back to our comments. Do you have anything else?
Do you have the meter records?
Do you have anything else?
I asked you a question.
I will address all of the concerns that people have brought up during the comments when they're appropriate. You have your time. Do you have anything else you'd like to address to this council, sir?
I have a whole table full.
Well, make your questions pretty quick. I'm not going to let you stand here all night. So I will give you another 2 minutes.
I would love to address diesel fuel generators, diesel fuel separators, lift compressors, and I would love for you to adapt the electric. Will Winston is right here from XCO. Will Winston will tell you that the emissions from a lift compressor being electric versus diesel will not pollute our neighborhood. We are here. This is our immediate neighborhood. Mr. I can't pronounce your name.
Motley, yes?
Tupke? No.
Tupke.
Do you live in our immediate neighborhood?
No, I live in Dalworthing Garden.
How far from the,
I live in Roosevelt, no trail.
how far from the, diesel fumes do we have to breathe? How far?
A mile and a half.
Okay, it's a big difference.
I drive a diesel truck.
I'm 800
I put as much emissions as that.
I'm 800 feet from it. All right? I walk this neighborhood every day. This is my neighborhood. This is our neighborhood. This is us. All right? I breathe those fumes every day. All right? And they can very easily use an electric compressor. All right? I ask you to be compassionate about the air that I breathe.
Anything else, Mr. Flowers?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Can I just say one more
Okay,
thing?
hold on, please.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other citizens' comments they'd like to make at this time? Anybody else? Sir?
I would like to give this to Mr. Puckett. Is the air...
It's Pet Key.
Chief, would you grab that,
Thank
please?
you. It is the air
Okay, we got it.
quality control report from Fort Worth.
I wasn't questioning your air quality control report. I'm questioning you saying we're draining Elkins Park.
You need to address that.
Mr.
I
Flowers.
breathe that air.
Mr. Flowers, we're
Okay.
done. Sir, go ahead.
It's a different-
Name for the record, please.
Spencer Williams,
Yes, sir.
15 Island Creek. About 3.5 years ago, I think I was the one that initiated the question on solar.
Yes, sir.
I think somebody else started focusing on the process this last week. I kind of thought it probably was available to do it. So when you have a chance, I'd love to hear you talk for a moment about whether or not solar can be done, or should I shut down the
Okay. Absolutely. Any other citizens' comments? Mr. Noonan, I'm going to let you
Very brief.
make a real quick comment.
No, it'll be very brief. I just wanted to share for everyone's benefit, the permitting the permits that were issued in 2010, really up through the middle part of 2011, are told by the state, for fracking purposes, were all temporary permits. Only permanent permits are issued at places like golf courses and municipalities to do their stuff.
Correct.
So there had to have been a temporary permit issued. They're capped at 3.2 million gallons.
You may have misspoken the number of gallons. So I'm not going
They cannot be, and if we do the math on fracking of 6 wells, we can find this out from XTO, and it is public record, but it's not been published yet. It is multiple times that. So there's a disconnect here that I wanted everyone to just be aware of.
No. We stole water. Didn't you hear me say we stole water? Not out of the lake, out of the water from Fort Worth to XTO. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Any other citizens' comments? I'm going to close citizens' comments at this time. All right, mayor and council comments. The first one that I'm going to make, Mr. Noonan, is for you and Mr. Flowers. There's a thing called open records request.
Okay.
Any records that you would like,
Yes.
it's a form,
All right.
needs to be filled out
Okay.
and submitted. And those records, as just like all of our stuff with the city, are open to the public.
Okay.
So are the records that you request, and so is the form that you request. So that's got to be filled out. You can't just come in and say, I want this form. We need to have documentation for it, and we follow a process to do that. Addressing your second issue, as far as the water amount and supply, there's a couple of different things that I tried to explain this to you last night, and I'm going to explain it to you now because I have the floor. The water usage, we have a pipe that we, as citizens of this community, have paid for, that runs from Fort Worth to our water tower. That water supply system is not coming directly from Delworthington water wells that we use. It's water that is pumped in from the city that we purchase. That water we resell and combine with water that we do pump out of our water wells. The use of that water supply system is not only used to supply our citizens, but we also use it for several other things. In the process of doing this XTO deal, instead of them bringing in frac trucks and driving those trucks in here and parking daily in and out with water trucks, it was more advantageous and smarter use of resources to use our water line that we have and the capacity that we have and sell them water pumped in through a fire hydrant. Part of that water was put into the lake that was from the water wells that we had to raise the level of Palby Elkins that we pumped back out of Palby Elkins. So yes, we do have metered readings that show what water was pumped into the lake by us and what water was taken out of the lake by XTO in 2010. That's 4 years ago. I've said 3, I apologize. And those records are all available. You can request them and see them.
Great, thank you.
The additional amount of water that you're talking about fracking the wells with is water that was purchased by XTO through our system that we charge them a significant amount for, above and beyond what we charge our residents and our businesses for. So the city made additional revenues that we could use those revenues to pay for infrastructure like fixing your roads, fixing your sewer systems, and improving other stuff that we have, paying our staff. We have not raised taxes in Dalworthington. We have done other ways to try to supplement that. And yes, it is through deals that we did with XTO, and there is no financial gain from any of these people that I'm aware of on this council. And if there is, it's a huge violation that I'm sure would be sought after. But yeah, we do use the resources we have, and if there's a way for us to minimize the amount of traffic we have in our city and the exposure of talking about diesel fumes of trucks coming in and out, those diesel fumes from those trucks are significantly worse than what they use from the trucks.
I have not talked about the diesel fuel from the
Sir,
trucks.
Mr. Flowers?
I talked about
Mr. Flowers.
I talked about from the lift compressor.
So the amount of things and resources that are used for that are also things that we look at as city council, and we make decisions based upon the information that we have and the resources we have. We look for solutions, and if you guys, anybody, any of our citizens want to show up and say, I've got a better solution than anything anybody's thought of, I recommend you guys come to our city council and present. Because we've done the research that we have, we've got the experts that we've used, and we've gone through the analysis and tried to figure out. In the same token that people are upset that we're putting a frac tank in the park. We have other solutions, yes. We can get 100 trucks parked in here, parked all around, and do that and have it here for 18 months going back and forth trying to frack wells. They are going to frack the wells. They do need water supply to do that. The best solution I think the council found was, let's do this frac tank. There's a couple of different benefits. One of the big benefits is we get to fix our park. We have a city park out there, in my opinion, and maybe some of the other council members, we have park staff, and that park, the baseball teams that go out there, and everybody's upset that baseball teams go out there, we've had kids twist and break their ankles because we have cracks out there that are so big from drought. We have no field that has been maintained. We've even had citizens come in and say they would be willing to pay for it. Unfortunately, at the time it was turned down to improve that. This is a way for us to have that improved, sprinkle that and use water resources to make that a really nice park that our kids can use. Yes, there's an inconvenience that it's down for this period of time. Unfortunate. But the alternative solution for us is that we're benefiting, in addition to the city selling water to XTO again through that instead of having the trucks, which we are significantly marking that up to them, and we make additional revenues that offset your taxes and offset other things. And it's not a huge deal in order for us to do that. And it's a big benefit. So I understand frustrations. Yes, we're going to have an eyesore out there, but it is a very beneficial from both sides. That the citizens don't have to have trucks driving around, don't have to have diesel fumes coming out of those trucks. We don't have to have trucks parked out here that they refill and unfill for fracking purposes that are eyesores and trucking in and out every day. So, yeah, I think the council's frustrated by a lot of the accusations and the emails that we don't spend our time analyzing this stuff and that we don't live next to it and we don't care. We do care. This is our community. I didn't put myself in this position or ask to be in this position and spend my time and resources because I don't give a crap. I do give a crap. Matter of fact, I was out in front of your house, Mr. Noonan, last night on the phone with you for a long time. I stood out there and looked at everything that you explained to me. And yes, I do see some of the same things you see, but there are solutions for that we can dictate and go over and try to resolve, and not just say, oh, you got a problem, fix it. It's your problem. It's not. It's our problem as a community. And we can address those things, and we can try to find resolutions to get it addressed. Bottom line is, in the state of Texas, oil and gas rights override service rights. XTO could honestly just cram it up our butts and tell us they're doing all this stuff, and we can fight them and have huge lawsuits. At the end of the day, they're going to win. So we find the best way to resolve this stuff with them and find a way to live with them and try to make our community the best way we can. And that's what we're trying to do. We want to work with XTO. I don't want to piss them off and say, oh, well, screw you guys, we're not going to work with you, and, you guys can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, if we don't work with them, it's going to be a bigger eyesore and a bigger problem for everybody in this community. So, I've said my piece. Council, I'll let you guys address whatever you'd like to.
I want to address one thing on the lake. First off, as the mayor said, the water that was taken out of the lake in 2010 was put back in the lake. But since 2010, I've just looked up the rainfall records. The average rainfall in South Fort Worth is 40 inches a year. Since 2010, we've had a 51-inch deficit in rainfall. More than 1 year of rainfall that we've not had since 2010. Just since January, we've got a 9-inch deficit. So the reason the lake is where it is, right now I also looked it up, the composite storage in all the reservoirs in the state of Texas is at 64% capacity. If you haven't heard, there's a drought. The reason the lake is where it is because we're in a drought. I'd love for the lake people, and Pat, Steve, just like I live there, just like you do. I look at it every day. And I've been through all of the cleaning of pipes just like you have. And I'll be happy when it's over. But we all signed our leases. The city signed a contract, and those leases and contracts have obligations. Those obligations are, some of us have to bear more of it than others.
That's your opinion. Thank you. Thanks, Ben.
Well, what degree in? Another man.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Pecky, anything you'd like to address?
I'll just, if you're going to address this council, I want you to come up here and tell the truth. I don't want you to make accusations that are false. Claims on matters. Claims on matters that you don't know what you're talking about. You come and get the facts first, and then talk about it. Just making all these accusations like we're draining the lake. It's just bull. I don't, I just can't stand that kind of stuff. I get upset by it when I hear it. So everybody comes here and addresses this honestly and with integrity. Yeah, first of all, I made notes of what I wanted to comment on, and I have to give the mayor credit, which I usually don't do. That he did a good job of addressing most of everything.
Mark this in the records, Chief.
Won't happen. I know what it's like to be frustrated with a city council. I came on this council 27 years ago because the council at that time was unresponsive to the concerns of the citizens. And I'm intimately familiar with our water system because I negotiated the deal that got us water from Fort Worth. At the time, Arlington was selling us water, and they were threatened to cut off our water if we didn't allow them to build a road through the city. And so we didn't pay tribute to hostage situation. Anyway, that's off the point. I have to say that I over the past week, I've taken I've been not happy with some of the accusations that have been leveled at the city, which were unfounded. I mean, if you're going to come out and make a statement, say this is the fact and this is what's happening and this is what our government is doing to our lake, you need to get the facts straight first. And what has been said here is absolutely correct. We went straight by the book on what we sold out of the lake. We were limited to ECQ. monitored, we had to submit data, and we replaced that water with water from our well combined with water from Fort Worth. And we sold that extra, once we reached our limit, we had been selling through our city water supply system to the city, to XTO. Now, come to realize this has been a beneficial business endeavor to our city. It has kept your taxes down. The mayor mentioned that we have not raised taxes in this city since I've been on council. We have one of the lowest tax rates of any city in the state. That part, I think you should be happy with.
Plus we got money in the bank.
I'm sorry?
Plus we have money in the
Plus we
bank.
put money in the bank, all for the benefit of the citizens. Now, the tank that's going in across here, I was not happy with. I don't think that's the best deal we could have done. No, let me take that back. That's the best deal we could have done. We looked at other places to put that, and most obvious best place would be over behind the tank, behind the well site. But we were concerned with the potential of a physical damage to people who might live downstream if that tank broke. If a catastrophe happened and we drowned some people in their bedrooms in those apartments, then aside from the fact that the bad part for those people, we have an obligation here in the city then to face a lawsuit.
Plus the floodway.
Yeah. Pardon?
The floodway.
It was on the floodplain.
It's on the floodplain. We can't get rid of the
Yeah, we had to bring it up higher than the floodplain. So this is going to be over here. It's not going to be pretty, but the end result, after it's cleaned up, in what is it, 2 months? I don't remember the number of days. It's about 2 months, 6 weeks. 12 weeks?
12 weeks, start finish.
Once it's completed, then we're going to have a better bowl.
In addition to, if we have a catastrophe with it, guess what? We fill our lake. And there's no damage done to anybody else.
When they're finished, maybe they might have a leak or something.
There's a disaster, you can't.
All right. I've covered it.
Dr. Flowers?
The only thing, Mr. Flowers, one thing, when we were negotiating contracts with XTO, we did look at the electric compressors, and we decided, or we went the direction of the diesel. We could revisit it if it makes a difference now. At the time, we looked at electric, but at the time we decided, or XTO, or whatever, the agreement came to use the diesel at that time. So I think we had changed
The use, the number of
Just to set the
electric.
record straight, the diesel, it's not a diesel compressor. It runs off the gas that comes out of the well. Burns natural gas, doesn't burn diesel.
Which is clean burning. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
How's the noise level on that?
Whether it's electric or diesel.
No, sir, on gas one?
No, I'm sorry, whether it's electric or internal combustion, your noise is actually the same because the fans that cool the engine are the prime noise makers. We can shield those. But whether it's electric or a natural gas internal combustion engine, the noise is the same.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other council comments?
But again, for the record though, the generators you use during drilling and fracking and stuff like that, those are these, right?
The prime movers for our rigs are generally diesel electric. The diesel generators, or the diesel engines, the rig itself is all electric.
But
The pumps that come in that will pump it will run on diesel. Trucks that drive will be diesel. But the permanent facilities and equipment, a light plant that is over there right now, is probably going to be diesel. But the compressors that are out there
For natural gas.
for natural gas that comes off the tank.
Mayor, can I make one statement? For the sake of our natural happy elephants, it is cut off rain and water right now.
Mr. Powers, what do you mean it's cut off? We have drainage that goes to it. The only way it's going to get filled back up is when it rains. And Ms. Stein, who is extremely familiar with our park and extremely familiar with all that stuff, would love to address the stuff with you.
If you cut, no, it's built up.
Mr. Flowers?
That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Flowers?
Okay.
I'm gonna let...
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, look at it.
I see your point.
Look
I've got
at it.
experts here that are going to address that, and then...
I'm not talking about Miss Stein. I'm
Okay.
talking about what I want.
Okay.
All right? This is how it is.
Thank you, sir. Done. Anybody else have any council comments? No? You know what? It's council. I'm gonna let you have a small curveball here because
You gotta let us...
you've got
It was council.
you've got a high level of respect from this council and myself, so I'm gonna let you speak, sir.
No, I apologize.
No, go ahead.
I apologize.
No, speak. I'm gonna let you.
What I was just...
Name and address for the record.
Thurman Campbell at 3102 Sunny Meadows Court. I was only going to say that I really appreciate the way that you addressed everything tonight and explained a lot of things that had been brought up that created questions in my mind. And I think the council and you in particular has addressed a lot of that things to my complete satisfaction.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Going to close item number 2. If any of y'all would like to vacate the premises, I'm going to let you vacate. I'm going to give you a 2-minute break here real quick, and then I will re-adjourn. So,
We get bored. We're glad you're here.
everybody staying?
Nope.